Hello. Okay, so I wanted to record a quick feedback video for you. Let's start that now. The anatomy studies you did, this is for WAH, W-A-H, WAH. The anatomy studies you did look great. I don't really have any notes for you. It appears like you're picking up information, like you're learning things. So I would say keep doing those. One of the things I'm noticing, one, it doesn't appear that your anatomy studies are translating into your thumbnails at all. You've got a really good construction in your anatomy studies, but your thumbnails are lacking that structure. Okay. Two, your thumbnails are at different ratios. You've got this like kind of square ratio that is fine to use, but you would need to make sure that the final image is this same kind of square. And likewise for this like rectangular ratio, the final image should match the ratio of the thumbnail. So I know you're doing this on paper, so I'm going to try and do an example thumbnail for you to kind of match the style you're doing. The other thing about the thumbnails is that I'm not sure what's going on in them. They all look very different. So if you could just tell me what your subject matter is. I know it looks like there's a can of Spam here. The can of Spam is interesting. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but you just need to pick a subject. So like whether it's this guy in this gas mask or this girl, you need to pick one subject and like try and draw based on that subject. And you would basically need to do like the same amount of thumbnails but on the one subject. And what you're going to find is that it's hard to do that many thumbnails with one subject. It kind of forces you to think outside the box and come up with new ideas. That's kind of the point of the exercise, is that you will have to do things and push yourself more than you normally would. So let me show you an example of how I would do this. First of all, let's turn off these layers. I'm just going to turn on a new layer. I'm going to pretend like this is paper. And I just, for the sake of my own eyes, I don't want it to be 100% white. So I'm just going to, let's just pretend this is paper. And I've got another layer. I'm just going to pick black. I got a pen tool. This is how I would do it. You get your thumbnail. You got to match the same proportions as the final illustration. So let's say you want it to be like kind of like a desktop screensaver. You don't have to do this. Do whatever you want. Okay, there you go. That's one thumbnail that you've drawn the frame for. So now let's pretend, I think the subject matter for me, let's do a green fairy. Okay, I like drinking absinthe, so maybe like a green fairy poster is what I'm trying to do. You could do whatever you want. This is just for the purposes of the demonstration. Okay, so let's see. Maybe the fairy is like right here, and she's got like her hand on her hip, and her arm is out, and she's got a tray with a glass of absinthe, and her hips are tilted a bit, and she's got one leg crossing in front of the other, and she's got wings. Okay, maybe like that, and then maybe maybe in the background, there's like a mountain, like it's from the region where the absinthe is from. There's mountains, right? The Alps. Okay, so it's like a mountain. Okay. For the thumbnail purposes, you might want to shade. I know you're only doing it with a pen, so like when I talk about shading, just do it real quick, right? So there you go. That's one thumbnail. That took very little time, but we got to do like 50 of them, right? So you draw the next one. And I'm trying to mimic your process. So like I know you got just a pen, so pen and paper. Let's do one where the fairy is like lounging. The body is laying down. Arm is down like this. She's got a glass of absinthe. Okay. The legs are crossing in a very modest pose. The other leg is out. And maybe the hair is coming down across the chest. And there's like a pillow. Maybe like that. And there's like a little couch in the background, like she's on the couch. Maybe something like that. So basically she takes up the whole frame. Okay, that's good. And then we do another one. Let's just sketch out. This one we'll do something where she's on the other side. Okay, so like maybe she's like sitting and she's got her hands down. She's doing like this kind of cute pose with her hands together. And she's just like taking up the frame, and her wings are like this. Okay, she's got her wings. Something like that. And then maybe the background again is a mountain. And we'll just do a quick shade. Okay, so that could be like that. Yeah, it could be something like that. So you get the idea how this works. Like these are pretty quick. You're getting the general idea down. You're trying to add some kind of value to help it read. If I go in here and I don't add the value, if I just do like a face, it's hard to tell what's going on. Like, is this a head? Is this a baseball? What is this? Like you gotta like come in here and like try and add some structure to it. And then maybe it's someone like that or something. Try and break it up so it's easy to read. You see how much different that looks if I add that extra bit of shading in? That's kind of what you want to do. So again, you can do these pretty quickly. They can be pretty quick. When you zoom in, like, these are like very, very quick, right? You can spend more time on them. If you want to spend more time on them, you can. I personally wouldn't spend like I said, like, maybe 5 minutes at the most. I think I mentioned 10, but I think 5 minutes is more than enough to get a thumbnail down. Like, and you see how fast these were. They weren't even like, I don't think they were even a minute in terms of how fast we're drawing them. So that's kind of what I wanted to tell you about the thumbnail process. So if we go back to yours, we need to get a more correct frame dimensions, and we need to get them probably smaller, and we need to get some of that structure that you have in your figure drawing. In your figure drawing, you need to translate that figure drawing into these thumbnails, because what's the point of doing the figure drawing if you're not going to use the information you learned? So keep that in mind. So that's for Wa. And then I've got feedback for Citrus. Citrus, I know you haven't officially checked in with me yet, but I saw your sketches on the mural board, and I wanted to address them real quick. I think you got one more you're supposed to do. For you, Citrus, one looks really cool, although I don't know what else we can do with this in terms of like the final sketch and the render. Two, this one is a little strange because you're making the image more about the tie and the chest and less about the band, because they're so small and they're like just kind of down here in the center frame. I would imagine if you want to do this idea, the tie should take up the whole frame, and they would be maybe more centered in the frame, taking up more space. They kind of feel like an afterthought this low. Just those are my general thoughts on number 2. Number 3, this one's really fun. I like it a lot. One thing I'm noticing is that like you've hidden this guy. You should probably think of a better pose to show him off more. He can still be doing this like reach up pose, but I think you need to show his body more. And the scale of the characters seems a little off. I think he's like the biggest guy, right? So you need to have him be the biggest. She's like the smallest. And then I think these two are like medium. You should show that. When you're designing, when you're sketching out stuff, you need to think of like the shape hierarchy. And like, I could even do a quick example. I'll crop this in. I'll crop it in to show this guy. And this will be my example for you. So he should be bigger, right? And then she should be smaller. So we're gonna maybe not that small, just a little smaller. And then these two, you see how it's more interesting this way if you start playing with the scale. Obviously he doesn't need to be this big. I'm just trying to explain that like the scale, it's like a big, medium, small. You want that hierarchy. Big, medium, small. Think about that. Okay, so this is a kind of interesting one. Maybe we play with number 3, I don't know. Number 4, again, everyone's the same size on this picture. You got these guys, and then this guy, and then the head, and like they kind of all feel like it's a bunch of the same sized moments happening. So for this one, I'm going to download it. There we go. Downloading it, and then I'm going to do a quick draw over for you. And we're just gonna place embedded real quick. Download. Okay, so turn this off. There we go. So I'm just going to duplicate this, and then we're going to come in here and just play around with like the scene can be more dynamic if you were to take like these guys on this corner here and like make them closer to us. So maybe they're like here. and then we'll just take this off. Okay, then this guy here, we can make him a little bigger in frame, and then I want to break the horizon line a bit with his head, because you have his head, it's almost a tangent. It's basically creating a tangent where the head is like right next to the horizon line. It's not really far down, and it's not really above. It's just almost touching. And when you don't want that. So maybe make him a little bigger. And then finally with her head, she's already kind of the smallest thing there, but oops. Could probably make the head size a little bigger. So what is this doing? Oh, we could probably take away this other rock. I don't know if we need the other rock here. So I think that's a cloud, but the cloud is a little there, something like that maybe. I'm just cleaning this up so it's better to see. Okay, so I think something like this could work. If you want more of a framing device for the top, maybe you've got like palm leaves coming in, and then there could be like shadows of a palm tree, shadows on them, like they're underneath the tree, something like that. You got to work it out. Maybe something like this. And so what we've done is we've created like a visual. We got this big shape, a medium shape, and then a small shape. And then it also, what it does is it creates this flow. Excuse me. It creates this flow down here like this. Or you could even look at it kind of like this. Kind of brings your eye up. For me, it flows this way. You kind of look at these guys first, and you look down and see what's happening. So that to me works better as a composition. So if we turn it off, you can see how yours was very flat. I would say it's flat. Everything is kind of on the same level. And again, this rock, it's like barely popping up over the horizon line. You need that to be like, if you're going to keep the rock, you need the rock to kind of come up like high above the horizon line, or you need the rock to be like way down here below the horizon line. You don't want it to be like right touching the horizon line. So you got to avoid any time those moments happen where you like something is just barely touching or about to touch. You should make it really go over. You could possibly, for this version here, you could if you wanted to keep something over there, you could probably keep like a tree over here. and then have like some more of the tree stuff here, maybe. Maybe that's something you do. It feels a little like it's closing. To me, it feels like it's closing up the frame quite a bit. I think it might be better if it's open, because I feel like the image is about these characters relaxing on the beach, have a very open space. Putting the tree there feels more like we're peering in at them, like we're like voyeuristic almost. Maybe there's another limb right here. It could be this is a tree here, and there's a tree, and that we're kind of like poking in at them. There's like some leaves here, maybe not right there, but like here, like that could work, but you need to work it out better. But this is kind of generally what I'm thinking. Like, I don't even like even those leaves at the top. They might need to be changed. I kind of threw them in there. It kind of felt a little good to do it, but we could probably like adjust this just a little bit. I think maybe up, and then hold on, oops, I gotta I think where was the horizon line? Let's make the horizon line right here. Okay. Something like this, and then maybe it's you got the tree kind of coming in here. Maybe something more like that. That could be interesting. Anyway, so those are a couple solutions for like how you can improve the composition a bit. You really want to take your time on these sketches and figure out the composition. Like, that's the main thing you need to start doing right now, is get the composition locked in, and then we'll do another pass to get the anatomy locked in. But you want the composition to go first. So okay, before, after, before, after, just you can kind of start seeing how some of it works. Anyway, so that's that. So that's for citrus. Hope that makes sense. I will post this in your I'll post this in your Miro as an example. But you should think about that with all your sketches. This is just one little draw over, but you should think about that for all the sketches. Like, how can you play with the shape hierarchy? Big, medium, small. Is there anything that's touching? Like, is there a line that's too close? You need to make overlap. Those are all things that you need to consider when you're designing your frame. And so Wah, you should let me edit the board, because I can then upload, actually let me do it this way. I can then upload feedback and notes. And then we'll just put this here. Paint over. That's not really a paint over, it's really a draw over. Draw over. Okay, so that's just one example. I think you still need to do one more sketch. So once you get that last sketch done, we can evaluate all of them. My notes still stand about this one. It's kind of weird that they're all here at the bottom. They feel very unimportant. And then this one, the size hierarchy. And then this one we just talked about. Okay, so I think that's it for everyone. Thanks for listening in. Hope that makes sense for you. I need to be able to post on your board, so give me the editing permissions, and I will post things to you directly. But yeah, that's it. Hope you have a great day. Once you get this next set of thumbnails done, we can review them, and the next step after the thumbnails is to move on to what Citrus is doing, which is the sketches. So if you see Citrus's thumbnails, we had a bunch of them down here, and we picked out the best ones. And then we decided to move on to sketching, and that's where we're at in terms of this phase. So, yeah, thanks again, and I'll talk to y'all later.